between 62 and 82%, all website traffic is video. And so it's out there, it's expected, and we don't expect anyone who's not in the movie production business to have a professionally polished video. People want to see you, they want to know you.
Welcome to the Pet Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Skarlet Rockwood. As a content marketer for pet professionals, I love talking with other marketers and business owners in the pet industry and sharing their marketing advice with you. So join me for the latest episode and learn how to grow your audience, increase your revenue, and impact the lives of pets and their people. Beth Lambert's journey began when she adopted Chase in 2009 after he was surrendered to a shelter. Backed by years of experience in instructional design and video production, she now supports others in leveraging the power of interactive media. Her ultimate goal for Fuzzy Face Media is for veterinarians and pet care professionals to start and end each day feeling the love and passion that initially led them to a career focused on animal welfare. It's exactly what Chase would want her to do. Hey, Beth, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, it's my pleasure.
Awesome. So we are going to talk about marketing with video and especially some juicy tidbits about short form video, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's start with telling people a little bit more about how you came to this as kind of your expertise. What got you started using video marketing and why the pet industry?
Well, I was a classroom teacher for over 30 years. Then the pandemic hit, and it became a lot less fun and magical, a lot of angry people. So I knew it was time for a career shift. And initially, I was looking at instructional design and different things. I knew I wanted to do something with technology because that's somewhere I've always led out in my career. And so trying to think about, what I wanted my niche to be. And then around Christmas time of 22, somebody had posted the logo for the organization, Not One More Vet, and I didn't know what it was. So I looked into it, and I was just stunned to find out about the mental health crisis that's in veterinary medicine. And there's cyberbullying, and it's just horrible things. And I've always had dogs, and so I've really relied on my veterinarians, my dog walker, pet sitter, you name it, to help me. And so then in January of 23, I went to the VMX conference in Orlando, and I was in rooms with thousands of people, listening to people like Dr. Adam Chrisman and Temple Grandin, and it was amazing. And I knew this is where I need to be. And during these presentations, the speakers kept saying, your practice needs video. If you don't have video, you need to be making that and sharing it and posting it. And I saw everybody go really wide-eyed because they're experts in vet med. They're experts with training, but they're not in video creation. I thought, I can help you with that because it's something that I've always done as part of teaching, creating videos with the kids, for the kids and such. And so now just shifting it into a different area and a different industry. And I am having so much fun. I have met the most incredible people, and I spend my days looking at videos of dogs.
Yeah, we pet industry marketers really don't like it when other people say that we just spend all day looking at videos of puppies, but we are allowed to say it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So why is video marketing important for pet industry businesses?
So many reasons. For example, if your email has a video in it, it has a 300% higher click-through rate. We also find that the average person is watching 17 hours of video online each week. As far as content, video gets shared the most, more than static images, text, PDFs, blog posts, if it's video. And video on your landing page where you've got something for sale, it can increase your conversion rates by up to 86%. And so the power of video is just like being in person. We start to mirror those images. Somebody yawns, we yawn. People are getting excited. You get excited. The music comes on and people get teary when the lost dog is reunited with his family. And so it's an extremely powerful medium.
Yeah, awesome. And I know that you have 5 specific videos that you like to talk about that every pet business needs. What are those 5?
Absolutely. So the 5 are, the first is your brand anthem. That's your big one. It's like your Super Bowl commercial that really evokes a lot of emotion, telling the backstory behind why you're doing what you're doing and also what you do. Then the next one, your FAQs. If people are asking the same questions frequently, we want to put those in a video because it helps to save you time. And you can also put those in your onboarding materials or emails. So you've got brand anthem, FAQ, explainer videos. So those are going to be like tutorials. We want to make sure that you establish yourself as an expert in your area. Then product promos, service promos, explaining what you do, the transformation that happens, and why people want that service. And then the last one, behind the scenes. It helps to humanize you and your business because people want to buy from people, not from big companies or anonymous brands, especially when we're dealing with our pets and our favorite animals. And remembering that these experts, they have our most important things. They've got our money and our pets, and we want to know that both are going to be treated well and respectfully.
And a lot of times they're in your house if it's a pet sitter or a dog walker, even when you're not home. So yeah, that trust from behind the scenes videos is really important.
Absolutely.
So when you're talking about making videos, there's obviously a lot of those are going to be longer videos, the type of thing you'll put on your website or on YouTube. But what is the value specifically of short form videos, which is kind of and for those listening, it's kind of like a umbrella term for like Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all of those, wherever you put them, short form videos.
Absolutely. That's important because we've got several different ways there to grab attention during different stages of the customer journey. So first, that brand anthem is a good one. You can take snippets out of that to show who you are and why. Also, sometimes hopping on those trends gets you in front of more faces. You don't have to do the dancing and the pointing. You can if you want to, but there's other things you can hop into with the different trends, trending audio, things like that. Also, helps to show your expertise and that you're aware of current things that are going on. I know right now in Chicago, we're part of the mysterious canine respiratory disease. And I needed to hear from my veterinarian on Facebook and on Instagram what they knew and the precautions that I should be taking.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the kind of thing that you can, like, people think that it takes so long to create these short form videos, and it can if you let it. But if you know what you're doing, you can knock out a really good reel in, just a few minutes.
Well, absolutely. And with my veterinarian, when she was talking about the canine respiratory disease, she was standing talking directly to the camera, just like this. And it took her about a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say for me, when I'm creating videos for clients, it takes a lot longer to add the captions than it does to record the video in the first place. And
yes,
there's so many tools now that will auto-generate those captions. It makes it even easier.
Absolutely. And that's one of the fantastic things that I like about AI is I can ask it to generate captions. And then if I don't like the caption, I can ask again, I want this in a friendly tone. No more pet puns, or, let's write this without any emojis.
Aw, pet puns and emojis are my love language. No.
Well, it's okay in moderation, but I don't want my entire content to be puns and emojis.
Yeah, if you can no longer read it, you have a problem.
Yes.
So if a pet business is looking into using short form video for their marketing, they've never done it before, they're just getting started out, what would you say are the first steps that they should take?
Oh, first, I want to tell them they don't need new equipment. If you have a cell phone, you're all set. Just get yourself in a well-lit area that's quiet and not distracting. Other things you can do is start thinking about, oh, I want to attract more people. So maybe I'll start a series where it's just, I've got one of my clients, Dr. Emily, has a lunch and learn every Tuesday. She goes live and she just answers questions that have come in. And so if you're not sure what content you want to put out there, ask your clients, ask your followers, see what's going on in the pet Facebook groups, things like that. And so that'll help you to generate that content and those ideas, because I find that tends to be where a lot of people get stuck.
Yeah, that's a really, really good tip. And then another thing that I finally did because of you is putting together a B-roll content, right? A nice library of that has made a big difference.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm filming B-roll right now while I'm talking to you. I've got my phone recording over there. And it's an easy thing to do. It's easy to forget. So I do recommend that people put it in their calendar. And if you're a veterinarian or if you've got a staff, it's not just you, when you have your meetings, sit down and say, all right, this week, who's going to be filming some B-roll, to make sure that somebody has that responsibility. And then you've got a shared folder or place where you drop it so it stays organized, because if you can't find it, you're not going to use it.
Yeah, you just gave me, I'm setting up some B-roll right now. Should have done before this. Let's see. All right. Yeah, so now I'm going to be filming B-roll too, because that is
Fantastic.
seriously such a game changer. If you have not done this before, if you've not made content, just B-roll of you literally doing your job during the day is going to make a big difference in terms of what, how much effort it takes to put out a reel when you don't have time to record today. And I learned that from Beth.
And I've seen people, dog walkers, they're filming just the dog walking along, and then they've got text that goes on top of it. I have had veterinarians and pet sitters filming getting the dog's meals ready or stuffing those kongs, or even, how long it takes to set up the pill pack for the week.
Yeah, and then the other thing is when you make that B-roll content, you don't have to have anything in mind for what you're going to post about. And when you use it, you don't have to use it for something that's related to the content. Sometimes you find something that matches really well, but sometimes you just put, I just put Instagram tips over a reel of my rabbit playing with an enrichment toy. They don't have to be related to the B-roll, and that's what's so genius about it.
Yes, and I love that, because I've set up the same thing where I set up my dog undoing his busy box, and I set it up on a time lapse, and then I just put text on top that really had nothing to do with the dog or the busy box.
But it gets more people to watch it than if you just made a post that was just
Exactly. Yes, and if it was a still image, that's not going to capture people's attention. And when you're making these videos, it's important to make sure you grab people right away. So we don't want to start with, hey, my name's Beth. I'm so happy to be here. I just wanted to pop in. I'm from Fuzzy Face Media. Instead, that hook. Hey, do you ever feel really nervous being on camera? Well, I'm Beth from Fuzzy Face Media, and I've got 5 ways to help you out with that. So that, because people are scrolling quickly, they want something engaging that's important to them.
Yeah, and for me personally, when I'm scrolling, that hook better be in a text overlay, because I don't I'd say more than half of people who are using social media, and I'm one of them, don't usually have the sound turned on.
I think it's more than that.
Yeah, more than half. I don't know if it's 60% or 99%, but it's definitely a lot. And I'm one of them. And if your video doesn't have caption, the only way I'm turning that sound on is if I really, really like that hook, or I already like your videos and I've seen 100 of your videos before and I really like them.
Absolutely. And it couldn't be easier now to add captions. Just like you said, there are apps that do it automatically. CapCut can do it. Just zoop, there they go. They're right in. I think Instagram might have it. I don't make my reels on Instagram because it's so unstable and unreliable. But I do like posting on Instagram.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't do my video editing in Instagram, but in a pinch, they do have the caption auto generator now, which is really useful. So aside from the 5 types of videos, is that really all the videos you make kind of fall into one of those categories, or how do you identify which short form videos to make?
Ooh, that's a great question. Yes. So most videos can be put into one of those categories. And we also want to make sure that you're addressing all of the stages of the customer journey, because it's going to, you need to have different types of content. So at the beginning of the customer journey, you want people to notice you. You want them to be aware of your brand. So that's when you're going to put out your brand anthem. You might have some webinars. You might even have something like a branded series. I got a couple coming up, where it could be like Dr. Emily's Lunch and Learn, or it could be putting on skits in with wigs and costumes. Who knows? There's another veterinarian who does dad jokes, and people know to look forward to that. And that's something that they also start to share. Then after people have recognized you and your business, then we can start shifting and going a little bit deeper. So now we're looking at webinars or educational videos that have more content. It's thorough, it's in depth. I already know you. I know my veterinarian. So if she's got a 15-minute video about tick prevention these days, then I'm probably going to watch it. Those explainer videos as well, making sure that people know that if you're something with your business that you sell or market, if it's like has a complex solution and they aren't quite sure, that's going to save your sales team a ton of time. And then you can just focus on client conversion with that. And then also testimonials, because people want to hear from other people. And, how did your services or products change their lives or transform something with their pets? And then we hope, we want these people to become your biggest fans and evangelize. And that's when we can personalize videos and send those directly to people. Hey, Skarlet, it was so great meeting you at the conference. I'm really excited about everything that you're doing. And then just making sure that you know them and they know that you know them, that they're seen and valued. And then also moving on to videos that are product specific, such as those promos, and it helps retain with customer retention, and also helps to increase the usage of those products. I know sometimes I forget what stuff I have, and then when I remembered, oh yeah, licky mats, of course. Don't know why I've had those in a closet. And then from there, you can just keep going on with your FAQs, having your branded series, or even those videos in an onboarding sequence. So if you have a welcome sequence that goes through with email, you can put a video right in each one so that you're answering those client questions, they're getting to know you, and they've got just a full understanding of your brand and what you do.
Yeah, I love the idea of doing emails for onboarding. That's something that I had not thought of yet, that I might have to figure out some way to implement. I think that that's also a good place to do the personalization, right? Because that onboarding might be identical for every one of your clients. It might not be, depending on what your industry is.
Definitely.
So when we're talking about doing short form videos, how can we make them more engaging and more interesting versus something that we're worried, like if I'm going to make a video and I'm worried, well, nobody's going to care, this is going to be boring.
Well, we want to make sure visually there's some movement. So even with filming B-roll, if you're just sitting reading a book, it's not really much for us to hook onto. But if there's some video, you're turning a little bit, or, the cat's playing with something and so even just changing camera angles. So one thing I recommend to people if they're new at Reels or they're still not quite comfortable is filming one sentence at a time. So it might be, hey, at the beginning of a customer journey, you want to see a brand anthem. And then you stop, you film the next one. Hey, did you know FAQ videos will reduce the number of customer service calls you get? So that you're changing things up. You're speaking not fast, but efficiently.
Yeah, I love that. And that's a tip I've seen before, of just changing where you are at in the frame without having to stop the video, because then you're still only having to record once. And you're just basically editing out the little pieces of time where you are moving. But otherwise, it's just one continuous video. But at the end, it's a lot more interesting. And we see this in movies a lot too. If you actually count the seconds for how long a specific cut is before they'll cut to a different angle, it's not long. It is seconds, often in the single digits, and very rarely longer than that.
Yes, yes. And it's very few actors who can carry that off where they're just on camera delivering a monologue or, from that one shot. Yes. And so that's kind of a challenge that I'm going to put out there is when people are watching even the news, TV, movies, whatever it is, check to see when we switch just directly from one scene to another. We call that a jump shot. And you're going to see more of them now. You'll recognize them more. And even B-roll. Start put your eagle eyes on and see where you can find B-roll. And it might also help to give you ideas for what else you could create for B-roll.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something I haven't implemented yet, but I've really wanted to, is inserting my B-roll into my talking head videos to make them more interesting. I don't
Yes.
know how long it's going to be before I have time to do that. But that's something that you can do if you're looking to up level the short form video. Is if you're talking for 30 seconds straight,
Yeah.
you're going to keep interest better if you then cut to some B-roll in between certain things instead of it just being you the whole time. Now, that being
Yes.
said, if it's just you the whole time, it's still okay. Done is better than perfect.
Right.
I've had to preach that to people a lot. Actually,
Mhm.
even this week it's come up a lot. Can you share some on that as well? Because I know that that's something a lot of people struggle with when they talk to me too about making videos is I don't like the way my voice sounds, or I don't like my lighting, or it just doesn't ever feel good enough.
I'm so glad you just asked because I'm making my own video about this right now. Well, not at this moment, but yes, I just filmed it. So there are three major reasons that science tells us we get uncomfortable being on camera. The first is a familiarity principle. And what we are familiar with is our image in a mirror. And that's not what the rest of the world sees. And so when we see that, it's a disconnect for us. We see ourselves in the mirror all day long. We're getting ready. We're getting out of the shower. We get dressed. We do our hair. And we've seen this image so many times that there's a dissonance when we see photos or ourselves on video. Another one is our voice. And the voice that we hear when we speak, it's gone through the air, it's bounced around off of our skull. And what we actually hear out loud from other people, those voices are higher pitched. And so what we're hearing when we hear our voice recorded is what everybody else is actually hearing. And then the final one is the big one. It's the confirmation bias. So we're going to see what we want to see or what we think we're going to see. Have I gained 20 pounds since the pandemic? You bet I have. Am I looking for that? Oh, yeah. And so whether it's there or not, or it's as extreme as we think it is, we're going to see that. And so I rely on Mel Robbins for this, where she talks about how science has shown, I'm talking about science quite a bit, that beating ourselves up like that doesn't help us feel better. It makes us feel worse. And so what we really need to do is get out there and practice more. So the bad news is if you're uncomfortable with it, you need to do it more often. And that might even be just for practice. And I recommend highly that people sign up with a friend. You make a pact, a deal. We're each going to film something every day, and then we're going to send it to each other, hold each other accountable, and give lots of compliments and love, because it is challenging sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that accountability to someone else is also very helpful for the feedback, because now I love it when I can pick somebody who's going to be kind but honest about
Yeah.
whatever I'm sending them, because I want to know you're going to point out where I can improve, but also you're going to tell me if I'm being full of it and this is actually good and I should put it out. Because that imposter syndrome is real, and it's so much easier for us to find problems in something that we create versus someone else. So when someone else sees that there's a problem, whether we saw it first or not, I like to give that a little bit more weight versus when I just don't like the way I look. Well, you look fine, put the video out.
And I know one thing that I've started doing, I'm not doing it right now, but for most Zoom calls, I turn off the self view, because otherwise I'm all, you're trying to make sure that everything's in the right place. And if I turn that off, then I can just focus on the message and who's speaking.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really great tip if you're someone who's worried about, focusing on yourself when you're not
Mm.
what you should be focusing on in that moment, especially when
Yeah.
you're making a video. Sometimes the best thing to do is make sure you're framed upright and have the other facing camera to where you can't see yourself
Yeah.
on video while you're making it. Because
Hmm.
sometimes, like when I first started, I had a bad habit of not looking at the camera, looking at the video that it was producing, and so my eyes were
Hmm.
always off a little bit,
Yep.
and I would pick on that really badly. Um, so let's see. I
And
want to
there
make
is
sure
an
we
app to fix that. I think Descript does it. I think there's a couple others where it will actually, AI is amazing. It will switch your where your eyes are to make it look like you're always looking at the camera. It's pretty wild.
It is. I've also seen some horror stories from that one though. Like just like all AI that's creation, like there's always going to be something. There's going to be a video that where the dog has 6 legs, or there's going to be something going on. And I've seen somewhere like the eyes look like the old Quiznos commercials that have the little monsters in them. Like, but a lot of times it does do it really well.
Yeah. Or yeah, it could end up like Princess Kate, where everybody sees this isn't quite right. We want to make sure that we're being authentic. And that's another little truth bomb to share is that putting things out that aren't completely perfect makes you human and relatable. And there's been a lot of marketing studies that have just come out, reviewing 2023 and what they see, coming up in 2024, is that people don't want to watch these big productions and look like everything you're putting out is a polished professional video. They want to see you.
Yeah, because a lot of that kind of ties into one of the things I talk about a lot is the parasocial relationship, where the more you see people, especially on video, your
Mhm.
brain will start to store them. When you see them on video, when you hear their voice, stores them in the same place as
Mhm.
your friends and family memories are stored, even if you've never met this person or never interacted with them in a two-way conversation. This is why people fall in love with celebrities and movie characters all the time. But that's something that makes a difference with those less polished videos too. It's actually a stronger association with that because you feel like you're getting the real picture and you're
Yes.
not getting the polished, you're getting the authentic. This is what I'm doing today, and my hair
Mhm.
is a little messy, and I'm having a coffee in the middle of this video because I'm just chatting with a friend.
Mhm.
And they get that subconsciously applies versus if it's a super, super polished video, they're not
Mhm.
going to connect as quickly to it.
Exactly. Yes.
So, do you have any tips for these big, scary videos being more efficient or quicker to make?
Ooh, I recommend what works for me is batching. So I've got on my calendar that on Fridays it's content planning day. So I'm writing down, what kind of posts I want to make. I've got my blog posts getting ready. I'm working on reels and videos, and that's just scripting and planning. And then Monday is filming so that I get ready once and I no longer have the excuse that at 3 o'clock I'm still in my pajamas. I know that I'm going to get up, get ready, and the night before I make sure whatever room or rooms I'm going to be working in, I am all set. I already have the equipment out, and there is no good reason for me not to do my filming.
I am also a big proponent of batching. My mom said something the other day when we were working together, and I'm trying to remember exactly how she worded it. It's so much easier to
Yep.
do.
And there's a human, well, a canine.
um, so much easier to do one thing 10 times all at once than to do that thing 10 different times in different sittings.
Absolutely. And just even, with editing, if I haven't been on an app, since last month, it's like I'm using it all over, for the first time all over again. And, that muscle memory needs to come back and I have to relearn it. But if I've spent the day doing it, then it's automatic.
Yeah, absolutely. And even little things like setting up your tripod, getting your camera framed the way that you want,
Hmm.
making sure that you decided what you're going to talk about or whatever it is that you're going to film. It's a lot easier to do that once, film a bunch of things, and then do
Hmm.
your takedown rather than doing that every single time that you want to make one reel.
Absolutely. Because if you're setting up lights and, moving furniture, you don't want to have to do that every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked a lot about how to make it and why to make it. Once
Yes.
I've done it,
Mhm.
what is the best way to measure the success? Are there metrics or KPIs I should follow? Or what is the best way that you measure whether this video has actually done what you wanted it to do?
Initially, you want to see view count. How many people are actually watching the video and the play rate. So the number of people who saw it, hit play, whether it's on your website or on YouTube, and then the amount of time that they're spending with that. So if you're posting a video on YouTube that's 5 to 10 minutes long, you want to see if they stay until the end or if it drops off pretty quickly, because that means your content needs to be more engaging. If you're not seeing people even watch the video or play, you need that better hook. And like you said, it needs to be visual. It needs to happen right away. And then as we go further into the customer journey, we want to make sure, again, that customers are watching the entire video, seeing how many times they're sharing it, if they're pushing it out to their friends, and then even looking at the metrics with the likes and the comments and seeing if we can find patterns. So which videos are performing the best and what's the same about all those? Where are those common threads that you can keep repeating those things that get people watching and keeping them watching?
And that actually really goes into my next question of how can pet businesses use those analytics to refine their strategy?
I would say just like that, find out what's working well, and then do that again. Maybe you've got those character videos, or maybe it's the lunch and learn. The different types of videos that you're putting out, what gets the most comments. And then even if you've got great content that performed well 5 or 6 months ago, you can repost that, because everybody doesn't see everything you post, and most people won't even remember if you post it again.
I say that so often, nobody believes me. I promise it's okay to repost. You don't even have to change it. Don't even change the
No.
caption. If it performed great 6 months ago, just post it again. I promise.
I've done it. Yep. And nobody noticed or called me out on it.
Yeah. And then the one time or a few times people have called me out on it, it has been to thank me. I
Yes.
loved this video the first time. I'm so glad you posted it again.
Yeah. It brought me more joy again.
Absolutely. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making, the common pitfalls that they can avoid with their short form videos?
Well, the first one, in the pet industry, we want to see you in the video. We know the dogs, the cats, the bunnies, the birds. So we know they are cute, but we need to see you. We want to see how you're going to interact with our animals. Also, making sure you've got good sound. I have a microphone right now. And so even out and about, if you're, I don't know, filming B-roll, well, B-roll wouldn't have your microphone, but wherever you are, you can get those little itty bitty tiny mics for, I think, $12 on Amazon. You can get the Bluetooth mics for less than $20 on Amazon. I've got all of those things. That really helps to improve the quality, and better quality means people will watch longer. And then making sure that when you're filming visually, you're in a space that's not cluttered or distracting from what you're trying to say. Those are the biggest ones. And then also, like you said, that hook is really important. And then at the end, you need a call to action, because if you don't tell people what to do next, they won't do anything. If you want them to drop below, type the word bone, and I'll send you some of my favorite enrichment activities to do with your pet, just so that people know what's next instead of scrolling by.
Yeah, that is something that I see. I think a lot of people can do better in all of their content is just tell people what is the next step.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people forget that, and they think, this is not a message that is a promotional post. So I don't need a call to action. And I'm like, the call
Right.
to action can be, let me know in the comments if this is a product you like. Let me know in the comments if you're a big dog or a small dog person. That can be a call to action too. Sometimes the engagement with you at that top of funnel is important.
Yes.
Or talking about like drop me this word and I'll DM you this link. That is a really, really good call to action right now.
Yes.
And it is converting, as much as I still use, the link is in the bio. for things that are like evergreen, that is converting a lot higher than link in bio. Is drop in the comments and I'll DM you. We'll get higher conversions than click the link in my bio to go get it.
Yes, I've noticed the same thing. And you might be using ManyChat as well, which is an app that reads whatever you plug in for that automation so that you don't have to manually respond to everybody who dropped the word diamond or whatever it is that you're asking them to put in the comments.
Yeah, that's why people started asking for specific words so that they could use ManyChat instead of just leave a comment or say yes in the comments. They'll say a specific word like that so that ManyChat and other similar automations can handle that DM for you.
Yes.
And that's something that is really valuable, especially if you are not someone who's going to have time to respond even once a day to all of those comments.
Yep. And if you want to, you can always go back later and restart that engagement. Hey, have you had a chance to implement any of those strategies yet? Hey, I just want to see if you have any questions about, the PDF I sent you. And then get that conversation going and start building that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. I have something I've just implemented in my email marketing that does something pretty similar to that. It's after I send a message or after somebody signs up for like my free ebook or free templates or something, about 2 hours later, they get an email that just says, hey, did you get the thing? It's pretty much like just making sure you got it. And it's amazing how many people respond and have a question about something that's in the ebook or how to use the templates that they never would have asked me if I hadn't re-engaged them.
Right. Fantastic. Such a great idea.
So if I'm a small pet business and I have limited resources, what is the best way that I can go about starting to use short form video marketing?
Well, first, you don't need to buy anything new. You don't need fancy equipment. You can just use your phone. The one thing that I recommend buying that will help your quality is either the Bluetooth mic or the little tiny mic. And like I said, you can get between $10 and $20 on Amazon. And then if you're not sure what content you want to put out, ask your clients, survey your audience, or like I said, drop into those Facebook groups or those groups where pet parents hang out and see what they're posting and asking about. What information do they need? Because we know they're not the only one. And then when you post something, it might not take off right away. But the thing about Reels is that they have a much longer life than those static posts. So there's still a very good chance that 1 month from now, 3 months, even 6 months, maybe, that other people are going to start discovering that because the algorithm will push that out to people when they become your followers down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. That is very true. As Reels are much more, I mean, there's no such thing as evergreen content on most social media platforms, but they are much closer. They have a much longer lifespan than a regular image post. So you mentioned earlier reports that talk about, what happened in 2023, what's going to happen, what are some future trends. What do you think are some of the future trends in short form video marketing that pet businesses can take advantage of?
Well, what we're starting to see now is absolutely short form video is king. People don't want to watch a 20-minute video, and things that are more personalized, such as those videos that have people's names in them, and they're tailored directly to them, and even interactive videos so that you can click shop now, buy now, right in the video. And that's a little more challenging to put together. Still very doable, very accessible for beginners, but you might need to get a special app for that or pay for a subscription to add that.
Awesome. So let's see. I think we've covered a lot today. Is there any other advice or any one piece of information you really like? If there's one thing that people remember, what is the one piece of information that pet business owners should know?
Just do it. It's scary and time is tight, but it really helps your visibility. And having video on your website, Google loves video, so it's going to bump up your SEO. The more you use video, the more visible you will be. I think the number might be 62%, might even be 82% now. Between 62 and 82%, all website traffic is video. And so it's out there, it's expected, and we don't expect anyone who's not in the movie production business to have a professionally polished video. People want to see you, they want to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is so true, especially for like the more personal pet businesses, right?
Yeah.
The big brands who have a product that's in retail stores, it's
Mm-hmm.
understandable. More people are going to expect a commercial style, more polished video. But if you're a pet sitter, a dog walker,
Mm-hmm.
groomer, vet, people want to just feel like they want to feel like you're an authentic. Like if you have a brand where people see your face,
Mm-hmm.
then your videos don't need to be polished and perfect. In fact, it almost in some cases will hurt you in terms of your average social media post being too polished.
Yes. And so one reel that I saw this week, which was fantastic, Doug the dog guy does pet sitting. And I'm not sure if you saw this one already. He goes to somebody's house, to check on the dogs, and he noticed some of these like nylabone shoes that,
I have seen that one.
yeah, and it's in terrible shape. The dogs have shredded it. And he said, you can fix this. So he went home. The next time he came back, he brought his Dremel and he just buzzed it down. I thought, well, not only that he came to do that, but he would even take the time to notice that we can do better, and we can, and just, that's the kind of attention to detail that I would love to have from a pet sitter, or really anybody who's providing a service to me with my pet or my home.
Yeah, absolutely. And that hits on so many of the pieces of my signature method that I call the creator model, which is
Uh-huh.
the types of content you want to create. There's
Yeah.
conversation starters, there's relationship posts, and it hits so many. It's authority because it's educating them on how to do this themselves. It's
Mhm.
relationship because it's showing them what kind of service you're going to get from him and his team.
Mhm.
And it's just it's a great piece of content. But just about everything Doug makes is.
I agree. I've used his content as examples many times.
All right. So the last thing is just where can we find you online? And I think you actually have a little quiz for folks to take as well.
Yes, the quiz is hot off the presses. So the quiz is to find out what video is going to help you the most right now. What does your business need? So it'll enter some information, and then poof, it'll show you which one is the best one to make next. People can find me on my website, fuzzyfacemedia.com, or on Instagram, fuzzyface.media. And I also have a YouTube channel that's Fuzzy Face Media.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And for everyone listening, if you want to grab any of those links, or you want to get a direct link into that quiz, it's all going to be in the show notes, and you can find the link in the description of wherever you're watching this. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you, Skarlet.
What was your favorite thing about this episode? Hit me up on Instagram at Skarlet Rockwood to tell me about it, or ask any questions that you have about marketing your own pet business. If you know other pet professionals who would love this podcast, go ahead and screenshot this episode and share it to your Instagram stories. Be sure to tag me when you do, because seeing who's listening and hearing your feedback is 100% what motivates me to keep doing what I do. You can also join the Facebook group to connect with other pet industry professionals like you. If you'd like to follow up on any of the resources or links mentioned in this episode, you can find them in the show notes. Don't forget to be awesome, and I'll see you in the next episode.